Alright, so in this video here, we're going to be covering low ticket and high ticket, which one to choose as your first offer. I'm going to be kind of breaking down how to figure that out based on your audience demographic, just how to do research into that generally. I'm defining the difference between low ticket and high ticket. And then at the end here, I have an example of an audience on YouTube, and then just like an example of my thought process and how I would choose which one to make the front end offer. So this is a pretty simple, like high level overview of which one to choose, just kind of breaking everything down, but this should be enough for you to make your decision. So without further ado, I'm just going to kind of get into it and break down the way I think about this. So essentially what we are deciding is the two ways to lead on the front end. So you could either do low ticket first or high ticket first. And I just kind of didn't include mid ticket into here because in my opinion, mid-ticket is something that you should just introduce at scale when there's too much of a disparity between your high ticket and how much you're charging for that and your low ticket and how much you're charging for that. So it's like essentially when the gap is too big there, that's when you would introduce the mid-ticket. So it's not something I would focus on until you're kind of like more at scale. And there is too many people in the middle who can't afford your high ticket, but the low ticket is too cheap for them. So that's when I would introduce it. But low ticket, I would pretty much define it as anything under $100. Obviously, there's some stuff a little bit over $100 that is still considered low ticket, but just as a general rule of thumb, that's the case. And then high ticket, so anything that has to be sold over the phone, generally speaking, would be a high ticket. So $2,000 or $2,000 or more. Honestly, you could technically, with a big enough audience and with a solid webinar and stuff like that, sell $2,000 direct to cart. But oftentimes for most people and most people's audiences, they are going to have to sell $2,000 over the phone. So that's the definition we're going to use for this video here. So the actual goal that we're trying to fulfill here is you want to pick the path that fits your audience. So your audience is going to be deciding the path that you take. So generally speaking, the low ticket signals and the kind of like observations that you're going to make that basically make you decide that you should lead with the low ticket are an audience with a lower budget, students, or they're early in their career. They're not sure what they need yet generally, so they don't even know why they're watching the video. They don't know why they're there, so they need like a sample with the low ticket, and they do not know you well. So people who do not know you well and haven't consumed a lot of your content will generally have to go to low ticket first, obviously, because if they purchase your low ticket and they like you and you provide a lot of value to them, that's the only way you're ever going to ascend them to your high ticket. And also something to consider here is the platform that you're posting videos on. So if you're primarily short form and you have no long form YouTube videos and stuff like that where people can't consume a lot of your content, they're not going to purchase anything high ticket from you just because they haven't had enough touch points. Because even if they go through all of your reels and they watch all of them, it would be, let's say, like an hour of total content consumption, and each video is not super in depth. It's super like shallow, surface level and stuff like that. So it just won't work. So generally speaking, with like if you're posting a bunch of long form videos and you have a lot of content in that kind of like style, people can consume hours and hours of your content. They will feel like they really know you, even though they've like most of the time never met you in real life, but they will trust you and they will feel like they know you just because they watch so much long form content, and it's easier to sell high ticket then. I just kind of yapped there, but high ticket signals, generally speaking, you're going to be working with an audience of professionals or businesses. There's going to be a clear pain point that you're solving, and they want a fast result, and they already have watched a ton of content from you, so consumed a bunch of long form content or were referred to you. So these are the general signals for leading with a high ticket. So now what do you do? So let's say so here I'm going to be breaking down like what you do if you start with a low ticket, and then what you do if you start with a high ticket. And obviously, and honestly, in my opinion, choosing which one to start with is not the most complicated thing in the world. You just kind of do some research on your target demographic. You kind of go through your DMs, you see the kind of questions people are asking you, the comments on your videos, all that stuff. And it's pretty easy to decide from there. It's not like rocket science or anything like that. But let's say you start with a low ticket. Essentially what you want to do here is give a bunch of real value first inside the low ticket community. You want to help every single member get a quick win in week one. So you want to get them a win as fast as possible, so they so you like breach the trust barrier and they start trusting you, because if they get a very fast win, they're like, oh shoot, this works, so they're going to continue going with it, and then eventually that's going to help you ascend them into high ticket. Yeah, but you also want to show member wins weekly to build proof and momentum, teach the simple steps behind those wins, share a clear roadmap from A to B. So from today to the goal that they're trying to achieve, you want to watch for you want to also like watch their progress and for readiness signals. So look at their results, look at the types of questions that they're asking, whether or not they're taking consistent action and they're active in the community and stuff like that. And you want to invite ready members to a short plan call when they're ready. So this is why you want to be observing these signals here. And then on the call, you want to map their goal. So essentially what they're trying to achieve, spot their gaps, and the timeline in plain language. Pretty much that's the idea there. And then you want to offer the high ticket as the fast path to that plan. So basically, the high ticket should essentially be accountability and implementation for them. So it's essentially short-circuiting the process for them to get the result. It's going to be a lot faster, a lot easier, and stuff like that. And that's essentially how you want to frame it. And then you want to keep it optional, respectful, and easy to schedule. So you don't want to seem desperate and like try to like force them into a high ticket, because then they won't trust you at all. So that's also something to keep in mind there. And just some quick notes on starting with the low ticket. The best time to invite is right after they have achieved a quick win or a milestone, because at this point they're kind of like at a euphoric peak, because they have learned from you, they've implemented it, and they got a quick win. So then right there, you just want to kind of like insert yourself, and then you want to like insert yourself into the situation, message them like whatever it may be. And then from there, you want to try to upsell them right away, because that's when they're kind of most likely to ascend there. And you want to make the upgrade super easy. So it should just be a simple link, clear next step that are laid out like very clearly, and in just a few seats. And you want to keep serving the rest. So most will stay low ticket, and that's fine. So the ascension rate is generally going to be around the 10% range. If it's way higher than that, then that's really good, obviously. If it's way lower than that, then you have a problem, and your low ticket is probably framed incorrectly. But essentially, most will stay low ticket. So just understand that, know that, and look for the actual students in the low ticket that are that have like these readiness signals that I laid out here. And then so if you start with a high ticket, I'm just going to cover these points here. You want to essentially be speaking to a clear pain and a clear outcome that they're trying to achieve. You want to use a form to qualify them. So very common software for this is Typeform. You have all the logic integrations on the back end to DQ, to accept or DQ them essentially. And then you want to invite them onto a call after, because you were selling high ticket, so it's going to have to be over the phone. And then on the call, you want to map their goal, the gap, and the next steps that they're going to take. You want to present the high ticket as the shortest path to the goal, set a start date and the first milestone. And if they are not ready, offer or downsell them a low ticket for the next step. So essentially, if they're not ready, they can't afford it, whatever it may be, downsell them into the low ticket. And then from here, it's the same process. They get the quick win, they're engaging, they like the low ticket community. And then eventually you kind of build up trust with them, and then you ascend them into high ticket after. So you want to follow up with one clear message and a clean deadline as well. Keep it like super like low pressure, respectful. Like don't try to like force them into anything or sound desperate, like I mentioned before. And then you want to be tracking all your KPIs as well throughout this entire process. So the amount of calls that you're booking, the show rate, yes rate, and all that stuff. I have some other videos on my channel explaining how to boost your show rate, which is basically like the post booking page, hitting them with email and SMS reminders, all that stuff. Those are super important, and you always want to assume it's your fault if the show rate is low. Never blame it on the actual like prospects and stuff like that. So always be looking for ways to boost this essentially. And the yes rate, obviously. So how many people take on the offer. And just some quick notes here. The best sources here are going to be referrals, case studies, focused ads, stuff like that. And you want to keep the landing page super simple. So you want essentially one promise, one button. The more stuff you have on the page, it's going to get super confusing for them. And you're just going to give them a lot of decision fatigue, and they're just going to leave. Like that's what I've seen with some of the clients that I've worked with. So you just want to keep it super simple. Don't overcomplicate it. And that's pretty much all for that. And then always give them a useful takeaway, even if they say no, because oftentimes a lot of the people that say no just simply don't trust you enough yet, and then will eventually come back after they trust you more, consume more of your content, or join your low ticket community, and then later they're going to say yes. So you never want to leave off on a bad note. And even sometimes what I do with some of the creators that I'm working with currently is, if some people hop on the sales call and they do say no, what you essentially want to do is you just want to be telling the creator to be kind of like spamming more proof then, essentially, whether it be on their YouTube channel, Instagram stories, whatever the traffic source is. You essentially want to be like posting more student testimonials, more proof, more results. And then oftentimes these people will hit you back and they'll be like, you know what, I decided I want to do it. So that's just a little quick tip there. But essentially, just to keep it simple, you could pick one path for 30 days. So just based off all the criteria I gave in the Miro board here, you essentially want to assess the situation, pick one, Think about the framing of it and how you're going to structure it. Pick one and then stick to it for 30 days and start running it and testing it. Honestly, preferably a little bit longer. 30 days is probably like the minimum you want to go here. But yeah, just some quick notes here. If you have a broad or price sensitive audience, run the low ticket for 30 days. If your audience is like professionals, B2B audience, whatever it may be, just a higher quality audience, which would be like an audience on YouTube, for example, that's watching long form videos, you want to run the higher ticket offer for 30 days. And if you lead with high ticket, you want to retarget the non-buyers with the low ticket offer and downsell them into that essentially. And then what good looks like, pretty much the sales are covering your ad spend. Keep or pause, keep the path that pays back faster, pause the other. You want to be paying attention to the payback rate. So did the sales cover the spend, the show rate, the book calls that actually attend the call, and then the close rate. So the amount of calls that converted into actual clients here. And then yeah, that's pretty much like what you want to be tracking here for the 30 days that you're testing it out. And just a quick example. So this example here, I think is, let's say you have a reselling YouTube channel. So you have someone that is going and showing how they're making money with reselling, how they're sourcing, how they're picking products, the distributions channel that they're actually selling it on and stuff like that. The type of audience that they're going to be attracting is obviously beginner resellers with smaller budgets. So that's just how it is in the reselling niche. Like obviously, like you don't get like a lot of higher ticket people there because people are just looking to make a few quick dollars and they're looking to make it fast. So you want to lead with a low ticket, like a small community where there's group calls. You're explaining concepts. You're explaining, for example, how to optimize your profile, like on OfferUp, for example. I don't know that much about reselling, but let's say you're selling on OfferUp, how to optimize your profile, how to take good pictures to actually sell the product. So that would be the low ticket. And then you want to deliver them quick wins, make sure they're having success fast. And then you want to be showcasing all these success stories to build trust with everyone else in the low ticket community, especially people that just joined. And this is going to reduce your churn. And then essentially, when they're ready, you want to invite them, basically like message them, hit them through the DMs in Discord or something like that. Basically tell them that the creator is running a higher ticket program where essentially he's going to help you with accountability, scaling, all the optimizations. He's going to be working with you one-on-one, and then push them into the higher ticket program to scale. So the key idea here is the lower ticket offer. So the community in this case is building confidence. It's actually getting them results, useful information and stuff like that. And the high ticket is framed as the natural next step to actually make more money with this and just take it to the next level and scale. So yeah, that's it for this video. Hopefully this helps some of you guys.